Welcome back to For the Record here on the Law and Crime Trial Network. I'm Angenette Levy, and the lunch show is on. It was a busy week in the trial of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. Thanks for being with us, and welcome to everyone on our YouTube channel and Twitch. We are so glad that you're here with us, and we made it, guys. We made it to Friday. The weekend is here. But we have a lot to talk about, as I mentioned, and we are going to be taking your questions live here for the lunch hour. So submit them on our YouTube chat, on our Twitter feed, Twitch, Facebook, you name it, we've got it, and we'll get to your questions. And we take them from around the world, and we really appreciate you guys coming to us and trusting us to bring you the very best information that we can. So today, court is dark, of course, right? But they were still working on jury instructions. Yesterday, Judge Askarati said that they would be back at it at 8 a.m. talking about jury instructions and other things. And Amber Heard's case will continue next week. And we expect Johnny Depp to be called as what they call an adverse witness in her case. So we're all anticipating that, and then Johnny Depp likely will present a rebuttal case. And obviously this is all about that defamation lawsuit that Johnny Depp filed against his ex-wife Amber Heard, claiming that she defamed him, and he wants $50 million for it. He says that he never physically abused her, that he did not commit acts of domestic violence or perpetrate them upon her, but she claimed he did. And so she's countersuing for $100 million. And she's kind of like upping the ante. He says, I want $50 million. She says, oh yeah, well, I'm going to sue you back and I want $100 million. So she's been kind of defending herself against the lawsuit, but also at the same time, she has been arguing her case, her counterclaim. So let's take a look at a little bit of the testimony that we had from yesterday. This came from, and I'm pulling it up right now, sorry about this, guys. This came from Tina Newman of the Walt Disney Studios. And we've heard a lot about alpacas in this case. People are like still asking me what's up with the alpacas. I think a lot of people know by now, but this has to do with Johnny Depp and a quote from him over the last couple of years. He felt betrayed by Walt Disney when they cut him out of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. They were working on the 6th film, and he said he felt betrayed by them. So he said he wouldn't go back and work with Disney on another Pirates of the Caribbean movie if they gave him $300 million and a million alpacas. So that came up yesterday as Elaine Bredehoft, Amber Heard's attorney, was questioning in a video deposition Tina Newman of the Walt Disney Studios, and she asked her about whether or not they were entertaining bringing Johnny Depp back for a Pirates 6, because a Pirates 6 could still possibly happen. So let's play this clip, and it elicited a lot of laughs in the courtroom.
Is Disney aware that Mr. Depp has testified under oath that he would not take another Pirates of the Caribbean franchise role for $300 million and a million alpacas?
No.
Would Disney entertain paying Mr. Depp more than $300 million and provide him with more than a million alpacas to be able to obtain his services for any future Pirates of the Caribbean role?
No.
Okay, so when that was playing in the courtroom, and I saw that you didn't see it there, but Johnny Depp was laughing very hard. We put this on our Instagram account and our Twitter accounts yesterday. I mean, he started really like just dying laughing, as did his attorney, Camille Vasquez, because, you know, he was saying that obviously it was an exaggeration, it was hyperbole. He was saying never again because I felt betrayed. I don't think he literally wanted Disney to come to him with a more than a million alpacas. So we have great questions from you guys coming in already. Thanks again for presenting these questions to us and submitting them. And joining me today to take your questions is Dave Ehrenberg. He is the state's attorney for Palm Beach County in Florida, and Jenny Alcati, an attorney, is with us as well. Hey guys, and Dave Ehrenberg, I am so excited to be back on with you, as I am with Jenny, but I haven't seen you in a really long time. So Dave, I'm going to throw this first question to you. It comes from Madison Meredith of YouTube, and she asks, Amber's team has 8 hours left to plead their case. What will happen when she runs out of time?
Well, it's good to be back with you and with Jenny. I think after she runs out of time, maybe that's it. Unless the court somehow extends it for some emergency reason, that's it. She was given a certain allotment of time, and you got to put in your case within that period of time. Now, she could say, Your Honor, we, in the interest of justice, we need to respond to something. We need to put on additional evidence, and then it would be up to the court. But this is a civil case, and they have a lot more leeway to constrain the parties when it comes to timing than they do in a case that we would file here in this office, which is a criminal case, because then you have constitutional rights involved. In the civil case, there are no constitutional rights involved, so a judge can pretty much do what they want.
Yeah, and Judge Penny already said, Judge Penny Escarati, she already said, even if you're mid-question, guess what? When your time's up, your time is up. So I just kind of imagine her clerk over there with like a baking timer or something like that. I'm sure it's not. It's probably like an iWatch or something. But they've got something going on where they're keeping track. And she said, I'll interrupt you mid-sentence. I don't care. So they better get on it, right? Okay, Jenny, this next one is for you. It comes from Neha Bhatia on YouTube. Jenny, Johnny was grilled on how he came up with the $50 million amount in damages that he is pursuing. How did Amber come up with $100 million? This is a great question, despite having lower propensity to earn, and we know she just has nowhere near the cash that he has. Why hasn't this been discussed?
That's a really good question, honestly, because we know how Johnny came about. It was based off of the fact that, you know, he would have made, he had expert testimony stating, you know, had he gotten Pirates of the Caribbean 6, he would have made, you know, $30 million, and then it defamed other, like, brand deals that he had. With Amber Heard, all she really had was Aquaman. So $100 million, my assumption is that she had claimed in her testimony that she got a fraction of what she deserved from her divorce settlement. So maybe this is another way that she's trying to get a little bit more money because she didn't get all the money that she believed she deserved. So how she got that $100 million, honestly, I have no clue. And I'm curious to see if within those 8 hours, will they present some type of expert to say, how did you come up with this damage amount? Because that's typically what you have to do, is you have to say, why are you entitled to X amount of money in any case? You have to show the jury that you are able to get that money and why.
You know what? I have a theory on this, and my theory, frankly, is that they were trying to intimidate him so that he would drop it. Because he probably has $100 million. He can probably do that, make that happen somehow. We already heard that he had made $600 million or so over his career from the Pirates movies and other movies. The one financial guy testified to that yesterday. He obviously lost a lot of money. We heard about the extravagant spending and the issues with the financial people and the lawsuit that he ended up settling with them over it. But that's my personal opinion. I could be wrong on that, but maybe she also is going to present some evidence that that was her potential worth or earnings in the years ahead. Who knows? But that was just my take on it, because, you know, she doesn't probably have $50 million. That's my guess. Dave Ehrenberg, this next question is for you. It comes from Carlene Barth from YouTube. Angenette, can you explain, this is a good question, Dave. This is a really good one. Why Johnny Depp's psychiatrist, we heard from him yesterday, was able to discuss his patient's visits information? I keep thinking that that's really unethical.
Well, it looks like both parties waived it because she was providing relevant evidence for the case. I think that, well, first off, that confidentiality can be waived, that privilege can be waived, and I think that's something where both parties agreed to allow certain evidence in. And, you know, in a civil matter, the rules of evidence are much looser than in a criminal matter, and so you can go and take depositions of a lot more people, but there still is a level of privilege, of confidentiality. But as with the phone calls that were surreptitiously recorded, a lot of them were recorded based on the consent of both parties. And so I would surmise that it's because of consent, and that's why you hear it in the courtroom.
All right. Good question and good answer from Dave Ehrenberg. All right, let's look at some more clips, guys. Ellen Barkin, she is an actress. She's been around for a really long time, and she had a fling with Johnny Depp back in 1998. And this is really interesting because she apparently, according to Johnny Depp, from the UK trial testimony, and I'm assuming we'll hear about this from him as well, wanted more than a fling, and he was just kind of like, yeah, I just got out of this thing with Kate Moss, and I really just kind of was having some fun. I don't really want much more than that. So, I mean, I'm paraphrasing there. So let's look at what Ellen Barkin had to say. She said they had this casual sexual relationship, or she didn't call it casual, but it was a sexual relationship for between 3 and 6 months. They would see each other between 3 and 4 times a week, and she talked about in this videotape deposition what she witnessed as far as his drinking habits were back in 1998. So let's listen to what Ellen Barkin had to say.
At any point that you were either initially friends and then sexual with Mr. Depp, did you become aware that he drank to excess?
I was always aware.
Okay, and can you explain how you were aware of that?
He was drunk all the time, a lot of the time.
And that would apply both to when you were initially friends and then later when it became sexual?
Yeah.
And what was he drunk? What with your understanding, what had he drunk to become drunk?
He was a red wine drinker.
Okay, so Jenny Alcati, what I find interesting about this is that while Ellen Barkin is testifying, Johnny Depp, I don't know if you could tell in the clip, but we saw him, he was kind of laughing and stuff. He doesn't seem overly concerned about Ellen Barkin's testimony. What's your take on that?
I don't think, I agree with that. I don't think he's concerned about her testimony. I think, you know, her testimony, I will say, I go back and forth with it. I think that she sounded a little bit almost bitter, that seemed like she wanted more from the relationship, and she was upset that he didn't want that. And so I could see where, you know, Johnny's like, she's just being bitter right now. But, you know, to play a little bit of devil's advocate, it's one of the only people, it's an actress that, you know, is very well known. And it's another person that's corroborating Amber's story. So it could go either way. But I think Johnny's not as concerned because I'm sure others have seen like articles where, you know, she was upset that Johnny didn't date her.
Right. Yeah, you know, Ellen Barkin, I really loved her in Sea of Love with Al Pacino. I love that movie. I kind of want to watch it again this weekend. Dave Ehrenberg, I want to know what you think about that as well, because she said he threw a wine bottle. Now, granted, this is 24 years ago. Let's do some math right here. So 24 years ago, Johnny Depp would have been 34, and she's 9 years older. So we know that we heard testimony that he obviously has struggled with substance abuse. So 34 might be a little bit different than when you're in your 50s. What's your take on that, and what do you think the impact of Ellen Barkin's testimony is?
I don't think that Ellen Barkin's testimony moves the needle for Amber Heard, because she did not say that she ever saw any physical abuse against Amber Heard. She never said she saw any physical abuse against her, Ellen Barkin, except that Johnny Depp threw, allegedly, a bottle at someone towards her. But that's not going to do it here, because the jury's going to hear evidence of physical abuse, and Ellen Barkin did not provide it. What did she provide? Well, that Johnny Depp has a temper, that he has alcohol and drug problems. Well, we already know that. That's no big shocker, and so I don't think that's going to really help Amber Heard win her case.
All right, let's take some questions now. Jenny Alcati, this is from City of Lunar on Twitch. Why would Amber and her team spend so much of her time, since the judge is counting and keeping track, on video depositions that are kind of hard to pay attention to, and also a few of them are from 2019? It just seems like a waste of time versus getting people to actually show up and testify in person.
I completely agree, and here's why I think that they are only able to play the video depositions is because nobody wanted to come in and testify in person. I think there were a couple people that they did have put on the witness list that were supposed to testify, and they ended up backing out because nobody, it seems like right now nobody's like, I don't want to be involved in this case, don't put my name in there, because it is very highly publicized. It's pretty much like I'm watching a documentary on their life stories right now. So I think that's the reason that they have no other option right now. Defense counsel has no other option but to play the video depositions.
And they can't compel people to show up. Basically, they have to. It's not like a criminal case, Dave Ehrenberg, where basically somebody doesn't show up and Judge Escarati is going to issue a bench warrant or something. It just doesn't work that way. So, Dave, here's this question for you. At GSarah6 from Twitter asks, would it have been possible to just ask someone at Disney why Johnny lost the Pirates of the Caribbean role? Thank you. I was actually thinking this yesterday. You know, we've heard about Sean Bailey, Jerry Bruckheimer. Where are they? So let's hear from them. Why are we not hearing from somebody at Disney who actually can speak to that issue rather than the lady who was talking about all this other stuff and the llamas or the alpacas and the $300 million?
Exactly. I mean, you have very intelligent viewers. I think it's something that Jenny and I can agree on. Like, hey, remember the old commercial, Where's the Beef? I mean, you had a person on the stand who's a lawyer who really doesn't know everything, and she couldn't tell us exactly why Disney went in a different direction. That's important in this case because it goes to damages. Because if he wasn't going to get the roles anyways, independent of Amber Heard, then there really is no case. But if it was because of Amber Heard's allegations that cost Johnny Depp the roles, then that's where the damages come in. And so it's important, and I'm surprised that Amber Heard's team didn't put on a better witness. And maybe it goes to what Jenny said, that maybe they just couldn't get someone better to testify. But I mean, not only do you have the lawyer who's down the ladder, but you also had her on video, not in person. So it really took a lot of power out of that testimony.
You know, they have video links, too. Like, the judge can dial somebody up. We saw that in Johnny Depp's case. That would have been better, in my opinion, than these videotape depositions, because at least it's the person live, you know. These are kind of edited and cut, and that's fine if that's all you can get. But I agree. I want to hear from somebody from Disney. I want to hear from Jerry Bruckheimer. They know the scoop. They know. Somebody there knows. So we need to hear from somebody from Disney. All right, let's take this last question, and I'll take this question because I know. This is from VD on YouTube. What is the schedule for next week? Is Amber going to be on the stand again? Well, I don't anticipate Amber being on the stand again. Who knows? I think it's highly unlikely. I don't think that Johnny Depp's going to call her in his rebuttal case as an adverse witness or what have you. I think that we're going to see more of Amber Heard's case, and that it's supposed to include calling Johnny Depp to the stand as an adverse witness. So there's something they want to get out of him. I don't know what it is, but we'll just have to wait and see. So her case will continue. Then we anticipate a rebuttal case from Johnny Depp, and that's when he will get to put on witnesses to answer to what Amber Heard's case presented. And we kind of have some hints about who that will include. We know it will likely include Dr. Shannon Curry. We know that because she was in the courtroom watching the testimony of Dr. Don Hughes. And then some other witnesses, and one in particular that's very interesting, who is a friend of Amber Heard's younger sister. We really think that we're going to see her on rebuttal testifying, and we'll have more on that later. But we are going to take a quick break. Closing arguments also, VD and everybody else, we're going to take a quick break, but closing arguments are scheduled for next Friday, and we, of course, will have everything for you. We've got a lot planned for next week. It's going to be great, so you don't want to miss it. We're going to take this quick break for the network. We have to do this for the network, the TV network, to take some commercial breaks, run the ads, all of that good stuff. But stay with us here on YouTube and keep the questions coming. You are watching, for the record, The Lunch Show on Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard on Law and Crime. Welcome back to The Lunch Show here on Law and Crime. I'm Angenette Levy, and we are taking your questions live. Submit them on our YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, and we will get to them. We are talking all about Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, and we've had some news come in just in the last couple of minutes. Wow, I'm reading an Instagram post about somebody you guys have a question about, so let's get to that question right now. This is for you, Dave Ehrenberg. This is from Doc on YouTube. Will they bring Jennifer Howell to testify? She posted on her IG she was probably being harassed because of her deposition. So just a little background here. The other day, Whitney Enriquez, who who is the younger sister of Amber Heard, got up on the witness stand and testified for her sister, okay? And she said that Johnny Depp punched her or hit her in the back during this March 23rd, 2015 incident on the staircase in the penthouse. And she said that's why her sister, Amber, punched Johnny Depp, clocked him, you know. She said he did that to protect her. Well, guess what? Whitney Enriquez knows this woman, Jennifer Howell, and we've been telling you about this now for a couple of days, and my Twitter blew up over this. Jennifer Howell was a friend of Whitney Enriquez. She filed a declaration with the court after hearing Whitney Enriquez's testimony in the UK trial. And she said Whitney Enriquez told her a totally different story about that incident, and that it was Amber Heard who was the person who actually punched Johnny Depp that night, not the other way around. That backs up the account of not only Johnny Depp, but his bodyguard, Travis McGivern. So her name was brought up, Dave Ehrenberg, in testimony and cross-examination of Whitney Enriquez by Depp's team, and we're all like, oh, I hear Jennifer Howell, and I knew exactly what they were talking about. So we think she's coming in on rebuttal, and Jennifer Howell has posted on Instagram a pretty lengthy post just in the last 20 hours, and she says she was trying to save a friend who was acting in a way that was not representative of herself. She still loves Whitney, and she said when they went after Nurse Debbie Lloyd's nursing license, trying to have it revoked, it seemed even more suspect to me. And that was, apparently there was mention this the other day, Debbie Lloyd, the private nurse of Johnny Depp for the drug addiction, that somebody filed a complaint against her with the state for not reporting domestic abuse. So somebody went after her, and the insinuation was that it was Amber Heard. So Dave Ehrenberg, what do you make of all that? I know I just threw a lot at everybody, but I think I needed to kind of put that background out there. I think Jennifer Howell is coming in on rebuttal. What do you think?
I think for sure. I think Jennifer Howell is going to be a key rebuttal witness because it goes to the one time that a witness, namely Amber Heard's sister, saw Johnny Depp strike Amber Heard. That's the one witness who said, no, it wasn't about throwing something. I saw him hit Amber Heard. Now, it was in the context, apparently, of a mutual combatant situation. But if it was Amber Heard who started it, as Ms. Howe said, then that is a game changer. That means a lot. Then there really is not very strong evidence to support Amber Heard's allegation that Johnny Depp physically abused her. So this is a key witness. You can count on seeing her on rebuttal.
Yeah, I think for sure she's coming in on rebuttal, and we've been talking about that for 2 days, that we thought she would come in on rebuttal. Why else would you bring her up? Why else would you ask Whitney, do you know Jennifer Howell? Whitney called her her chosen sister. That's how close they were. And Whitney, according to Jennifer Howell's declaration, told her that she thought that Amber Heard was going to kill Johnny Depp. So I think that's going to be some powerful testimony. Jenny Alcati, let's go to Ian Gallagher's post from YouTube, or his question from YouTube. What, if any, effect could the reactions, the laughing, eyebrow-raising, fist-pumping of Depp and his team have on the jury? Jenny, what do you make of that? Because we have seen quite a bit of laughing. I mean, this is a very serious case, don't get me wrong, but there have been some moments where even I, sitting in the courtroom as a member of the gallery, there have been some things, and you kind of have to bite your cheeks because there have been some funny moments.
I think it's something that, you know, everybody as a human, we look at body language. You know, everybody is looking at Amber Heard's body language. They're looking at Johnny's body language. I mean, even, you know, Camille Vasquez had mentioned in her cross-examination of Amber Heard, Johnny hasn't looked at you once, has he? That is something where the jurors are probably going to be like, oh, you know what, maybe I should start looking at their body language. Maybe there is something that, you know, they are looking for. You know, you still want, and I hope that the jury still takes every bit of evidence and uses that, but it is something that, as a human being, you're going to look at other people's reaction. How did they react to that story? So, and especially in a defamation case, we've got a truth issue. So, you know, if they're laughing about something, it's probably because, you know, they think, oh, that's not true, or that's a lie.
I think you're right about that, Jenny. And just the whole thing about not looking at Johnny Depp, not looking at her, that comes from an audio recording in case you missed it. July 2016, Johnny Depp is in a hotel room with Amber Heard. She asked for the meeting, and she was trying to touch him and hug him and stuff after she had gotten the restraining order and claimed abuse and all this stuff. And he was like, "Don't touch me." I mean, he was like livid, and he said, "You will never see my eyes again. You will never see my eyes again," because she was trying to take his glasses off. So that's what that was all about. All right, let's look at a clip now. Yesterday, there was a social media expert who took the stand for Amber Heard. His name was Ron Schnell, and he talked about, you know, this whole thing of social media and data collected on hashtags and how it related to the case. Hashtags, you go on Twitter, it's all about Johnny Depp is innocent, Johnny Depp is justice for Johnny Depp. There are some Amber Heard hashtags that I don't think I should repeat. They were talked about in court yesterday, but they use words well, there's one word I don't really like. But they call her a psychopath and stuff like that. So Amber Heard is a liar is one of the hashtags. So let's look right now at what Ron Schnell testified to.
January of 2022, and it's just another way of displaying the numbers in graphical form so that we can see peaks and valleys.
And what are the dotted lines?
So if you look at the top, you can see that the dashed lines are the negative hashtags towards Ms. Heard, and the solid ones are the negative hashtags towards Mr. Depp.
And what is being shown here? In your analysis, what is shown with the tweets related to Ms. Heard?
Well, you can see that there's a huge spike in February of 2020, which I believe Mr. Waldman just testified that that's when he leaked an audio tape of some kind. There's also a notable, remarkable spike in July of 2020, in November of 2020, and then in March of 2021.
And the spike in February 2020, that came before the alleged defamatory statements, correct?
Which one?
The spike in February 2020.
That is correct.
And even though that spike came in before the alleged defamatory statements, even taking account for that spike, what time period has more negative tweets about Ms. Heard, before or after April 2020?
Right. So even taking into account this really large spike in February of 2020, and you look at from the beginning of 2018 until the beginning of 2022, there are a majority of the negative tweets are between April of 2020 through the beginning of 2022.
Okay, so Dave Ehrenberg, this is part of Amber Heard's argument that there's been this massive social media campaign launched against her. This has like hurt her financially. It's hurt her career. Was this compelling evidence to you?
I don't think it moves the needle. I think it shows that perhaps you've got a lot of aggressive fans out there for Johnny Depp. Perhaps it shows that this was an organized effort by Johnny Depp's team. But at the end of the day, the question is, did Amber Heard libel Johnny Depp? And did Johnny Depp libel Amber Heard? So the question is veracity, the truthfulness of the statements, not that the statements were made by others, not that there was a spike in social media activity. And so this misses the point. And I don't think this is a big deal. And it makes me wonder if Amber Heard is running out of time in her case, maybe she should have cut back on stuff like this, which really doesn't go to the main argument, the main question of her case.
Okay, Jenny Alcati, let's take a question, okay? You ready for this? This is an interesting question. I actually don't know the answer to this question. I'm confused by it, too. Marina Guimaraes, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, on YouTube. Why were some of the witnesses yesterday questioned by Amber Heard's lawyer only? I can't figure that out.
So I guess questioned only by Amber Heard's lawyer. I guess I don't know exactly what she's asking either, but I guess it really just comes down to whether or not it was a cross-examination and whether or not it was a redirect. So the way that it works is that when you put on, either the plaintiff or defendant can put on a witness, and then the opposing counsel can cross-examine, and then the questioning attorney can redirect. So it's up to the attorneys whether or not they want to cross-examine or redirect.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this question, Dave. It was about that social media stuff. He said he watched the trial a bit, so why are they using his testimony? That's really interesting to me. Is it because he's not like a fact witness? He's testifying to like an analysis of social media, so that's really probably not going to be influenced much, his maybe analysis by, you know, a fact. A fact is, I saw this or I heard this. Am I right?
Yeah, this guy's more of an expert witness. He's a social media expert. He can analyze data, but he has no firsthand information on whether Johnny Depp libeled Amber Heard or vice versa. He has no firsthand information on whether Johnny Depp physically abused Amber Heard or vice versa. So he's put on for some periphery issues and as an expert. And, you know, going back to what you're talking about, one reason why Johnny Depp's team may not want to have cross-examined some of these witnesses is because it's a technique used by lawyers to demonstrate to the jury that these guys didn't hurt us, they didn't mean anything, they didn't lay a glove on us. So we're not even going to ask him any questions in cross-examination. That's how pitiful they are. So just a technique that lawyers will use.
And the judge is keeping track of time, right, Dave? So they're like, you know what, we'll save our time for something we think is important. That might be part of it as well. So I agree with you, too. They're like, yeah, no questions, because guess what? It doesn't matter. Here's another one about this whole social media. Actually, we're going to have to take a break. I'm sorry about that. We'll get back to your questions in just a minute, a couple minutes, really. So we have to take this break, YouTube viewers, for the network. So stay with us. Keep the questions coming. We will be back in a few minutes. You are watching The Lunch Show here on For the Record on Law and Crime. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are taking your questions here live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. Keep the questions coming. We're talking about Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. The court is dark today, but there's still a lot to discuss. Amber Heard, of course, is in the middle of her case, defending herself against Johnny Depp's defamation claim. She is also countersuing Johnny Depp for $100 million, claiming that he and his attorney, Adam Waldman testified yesterday that they launched a smear campaign against her after she accused him of domestic abuse. He claims the domestic abuse allegations are a hoax. So let's get to some Amber Heard supporters. Obviously, we see every day when we're at the courthouse, you know, throngs of Johnny Depp fans who show up to support him. We really have not seen many Amber Heard supporters. If we had, we would have brought you their comments. We would be telling you about them. But at the courthouse so far, I've met 3 the entire trial, and I've been there for 3 weeks total. Jesse was there for 2. So I met one of these Amber Heard supporters the other day. Very nice woman from Minnesota. Her name is Kylie Putnam, and she has worked in domestic violence shelters. And so we had a nice conversation. I asked her why she is supporting Amber Heard and why she believes her, given the amount of public support that we've seen for Johnny Depp. So let's listen to what Kylie Putnam had to say.
Watching this, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart the way that she's being forced to relive all of this in front of the world, and they just hate her for it. That breaks my heart. I mean, she already did the trial in 2020. I mean, she like leaves court every day and people just shout at her like obscenities, saying, "I don't believe you," every day. People made it into a funny TikTok trend to dance and act out her sexual assault testimony. It's just, I mean, it's just sick. That's why I care.
Do you think it's possible at all that she ever abused Johnny Depp at all?
No, I don't think it works like that.
What do you mean? Can you explain that to me?
I don't really think there is such a thing as mutual abuse, like the power imbalance, if that makes sense.
Why do you see him as the one with the power and not her?
I mean, he's older than her, richer than her, more famous than her.
Okay. Jenny Alcati, I want to know what you think of that. I was a little surprised when Kylie, as somebody who has worked in domestic violence shelters, didn't think that Johnny Depp could be a victim because of the power imbalance. But there are men who are victims of domestic violence. This is a question that the jury is going to have to answer. So your thoughts on Kylie's comments?
So I understand that she works in a domestic violence shelter. I myself work with victims of human trafficking every single day, and I have male victims of human trafficking. So I think it's a little bit difficult because I think society, you know, with the whole Me Too movement, we have that image that only females can be sexually abused and assaulted in domestic violence. So, you know, maybe she sees something that other people don't see, and you know, there's different perspectives to everything. But I will say that, you know, in my career, I do represent victims who are males of human trafficking and of domestic abuse. So I think it really is perspective, and it is society.
I think so too, and I just want to reiterate, you know, I've been working in the news business for 20 years now, and I've done a lot of stories over the years, and I've done stories on human trafficking and domestic violence, and there are male victims in both of those realms. So Dave Ehrenberg, here's a good question for you. Adam Waldman's, this is from Chelsea, sorry, from YouTube. Dave, we have literally 30 seconds. Chelsea's asking, Adam Waldman's deposition had a lot of questions he could not legally answer, which was left in the video for the jury. Was that to imply that Johnny is guilty for his statements? And this has to do with attorney-client privilege. He was advised not to answer those questions. Dave, 20 seconds.
You can't extrapolate from an attorney's protection of the attorney-client privilege that someone is hiding something or someone is guilty. He is entitled to the attorney-client privilege. And the lawyers for Amber Heard can't say, aha, what is he hiding? That would be a no-no. So I wouldn't look too much into it.
Yeah. Well, Dave Ehrenberg, state's attorney down in Palm Beach County, thanks so much for being with us today. We have to sign you off. We have to sign Jenny Alcati off, too. It's been great. I've loved having you. Stay with us, everybody. We're taking your questions for another hour. Keep them coming. You're watching The Lunch Show on Law and Crime. Hey, welcome to the second hour of For the Record here on the Law and Crime Trial Network. I'm your host, Angenette Levy, and we are having the lunch show today. Court in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard is dark, but we're still taking your questions. So welcome to all of our viewers who are joining us this hour on YouTube and Twitch. And thanks to those of you who are staying along for this second hour of the lunch show. Keep your questions coming on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and our Facebook page, and we will continue to answer them. You guys have great questions. We love answering your questions, and we have some new guests this hour as well. So we want to take a look at a clip, though, first. Let's look at a clip. This is from, actually, let's get down to the clip. It is from Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. This was played during the cross-examination of Amber Heard, and Camille Vasquez, Johnny Depp's attorney, played this. And this is of one of the couple's arguments. And there's some foul language in here. I mean, there's foul language in a lot of these clips, but I think they're important clips to listen to. It gives you a sense of the dynamic of the relationship. And these recordings, you know, sometimes they were recording them with each other's consent, and then other times there wasn't consent. So let's listen to a little bit of this. Camille Vasquez asked Amber Heard about this particular audio clip.
Everything's fine, so it doesn't go your way. And when it doesn't go your way, I'm in trouble. And you know what? I don't need you. I don't want your kind of woman. I don't want your kind of woman. I don't want your kind of woman. I might have. So if I
mistake. I wish I had.
oh, yeah.
I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't bought into any of your lies, your sober presence, your goodness, your sweetness, all the lies. I wish I hadn't bought into the months of you being you. I wish I hadn't bought into the promises. I wish I thought I could have kids with you. You are kid yourself. I wish I hadn't bought into any of the lies you sold. Talk about fake bill of goods. You're the biggest. You're the biggest seller of fake fucking bill of goods. Talk about presenting yourself as something.
I did myself the fake bill of goods. You've left nothing, and I've left everything. So suck your.
Yeah, go on.
Which is probably your next move. No, I don't want to suck. I don't want nothing to do with your fucking section.
I need something you want.
Well, go get it, man.
Because I need something. Go on.
Huh?
Fucking. No I don't. Go suck it.
I don't want to.
It's gonna be all moved out.
No, it's not really true, Amber.
Actually, it kind of is.
It kind of is? What are you talking about? You doing some Oh, is it? What is it?
No, I'm sure Rochelle's available. Call her up. I'm sure she's available.
Maybe she is.
I'm sure she is.
We'll see.
I'm sure she is.
I'll let you know.
Oh, I'm sure she is. I'm sure for her yoga vlog.
That fake laugh. That fake laugh is too much to take.
No, I'm sure she's.
That fake laugh is so disgusting.
I'm sure she's great. I'm sure she's great.
I'm thinking that you can give me some of the best performances in the hour.
You're right, I don't. It's all about performance.
Okay, so that was an audio clip of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard talking, and this is a clip in which she was laughing at him. She had said something to him about, like, you know, go to your 15 houses, basically run away, that type of thing, during one of their arguments, which is something he said he would usually do to get away from the arguments or the physical fight. So joining us this hour is Wendy Patrick. She is a trial attorney, and Catherine Lizardo is with us as well, a plaintiff's attorney out of Texas. Ladies, thanks so much for being with us this Friday afternoon. It's a special second hour of the lunch show, and we'll call it Lunch with the Ladies since it's all ladies right now. Catherine, I'll start with you on that clip. Just your thoughts on it. I think that I was sitting out in the hallway at the courthouse listening to it as it played, and it was interesting. Your thoughts?
It's definitely very interesting because we see this dynamic again and again in the recordings between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp of how they communicate with each other and how Amber Heard in that recording is the one taunting Johnny Depp and how Johnny Depp in turn is responding to her, especially when she's saying, like you mentioned, that, you know, go ahead and go to the 15 properties you have. A lot of the testimonies we've heard from witnesses is that Johnny Depp will want to extricate himself and go somewhere else and have some type of space away from Amber Heard. And we've seen how Amber supposedly would want him to come back and not give him that space.
Yeah, and I think that was that's why they played it, so that the jury could hear it. Okay, so we're taking your questions this hour. Submit them on YouTube chat, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and we're going to answer them here on the air. Wendy, this is from Kim Fudge on Facebook. I didn't see the first 2 days of the trial. I heard that it only takes one juror to side with Amber for her to win. Is this true? If so, why only one? That seems unfair.
Well, remember, this is a civil trial. It's a defamation trial. And I think the question maybe goes more towards the burden of proof and how many jurors you need to actually have that verdict. Because this is just it's not so much a he said, she said. It's about the evidence, as you've seen. And jurors may not agree on who was culpable, who was at fault, and who's telling the truth. Remember, truth is a complete defense to defamation. And that is why you keep hearing these very hard to listen to clips one way or the other. You know, you would think that it is some kind of a criminal trial where one juror could cause a mistrial because it wouldn't be unanimous. But this is a civil trial, different burden of proof, different rules.
And just so we're clear here, I just want to make sure we're clear. You know, there could be a mistrial if one juror sides with Amber, right? But in Virginia, it has to be a unanimous verdict. So I just want to make sure that the viewers understand that. Okay, so this next question comes from I think it's iMasta on YouTube. Are Heard's lawyers, Catherine, prioritizing edited depositions as a strategy to prevent objections from Depp's team?
It could be part of their strategy, but I think the reason why they're using the deposition is because, one, they couldn't get those witnesses live to Virginia. Most of those witnesses live out of state. So Virginia does not have jurisdiction to compel them to go to Virginia. Of course, they can do a Zoom or something remote. We've seen that in the other witnesses for Johnny Depp, but that did not happen here, which indicates to me that they don't want to actually testify live. Now, in terms of objections to those deposition testimonies have already been addressed before those deposition videos were presented to the court, because what happens is the parties have to tell the judge which part of the deposition they want to show to the jury, and then the other side objects, and then the judge rules on it. So that's something that happened beforehand, outside the presence of the jury, and before we even saw that.
Wendy, this next question is for you. It comes from LB on Twitter. I noticed Johnny Depp and his counsel laughing a lot at inappropriate times. Do you think this will affect how the jury views him?
Yes. You know, one of the things that we always tell our clients, our witnesses, our victims, everybody that's coming into court is you're not technically an exhibit, but you are in terms of what the jury's going to think in terms of credibility. How serious are you taking the proceedings? Are you showing appropriate level of respect for the court? Is your demeanor appropriate given the stakes? Now, it's not a domestic violence trial, but yet it is, because those are the allegations that are sought to be rebutted. So it is a problem that the amount of levity may be over the top and may not be appropriate given the seriousness of the topics being discussed.
So this next question, Catherine, is for you from Fabian Wright from YouTube. Fabian asks, can Amber Heard's pre-recorded witnesses from the UK trial of 2019 be counted for this trial, since many of those witnesses led her to win the case? And I think we need to clarify something, Catherine, really important. Amber Heard didn't win that case per se because she wasn't a defendant in that case. The Sun, the tabloid, and Dan Wooten, the editor, they were the defendants in that case. So that's why this case was allowed to proceed. So, Catherine, what do you say about Fabian's question?
Yes, and Angenette, that is a very important distinction that you just made, because the testimonies in the UK trial, they had selected witnesses for the Sun. Now, we know that Amber Heard testified at the UK trial, and those inconsistent statements, if Johnny Depp's team would want to use that here, they could potentially use it, and the judge could rule whether or not that will be allowed to be shown or not. So whichever witnesses did testify at UK, if they wanted to use it here, they could, but the judge has to allow it. And since we haven't seen those, that probably didn't come in.
Right. Here's another question, and I'll handle this one if you guys don't mind. Jackie Messenger from YouTube asks, what are the attorneys doing in court on Fridays? Well, thank you for the question, Jackie. I'm going to let you know right now. Judge Ascarati had told the lawyers yesterday that they needed to be back in court today at 8 a.m. They were going to talk about jury instructions and objections from each side to the proposed jury instructions. So that's what they're doing today. There have been other days where they've taken care of depositions, and there have also been some other issues they've addressed in court when the cameras weren't there. So I think it's more just kind of like procedural housekeeping things that they take care of on Fridays, along with possible depositions, so that they're not, you know, just having trial all week long with witnesses and everything. That would be a really long week, and the judge probably has other things to do as well. So that's typically what goes on Fridays. So she mentioned the depositions the other day. So thanks for the question. I think that's a good one, because a lot of us were like, wow, 4-day work week, awesome, but it's really not. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. Keep the questions coming on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. We have to take this break for the TV network, the Law and Crime Network. But stay with us here on YouTube. We'll take more of your questions after the break. You're watching The Lunch Show here on For the Record on Law and Crime. Welcome back to For the Record. We're doing the second hour of the lunch show for Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard today, taking your questions on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch, so keep them coming. They're great questions, and we love answering them. Before we answer more of your questions, though, we want to take a look at some of the testimony that was offered via video deposition yesterday. It came from actress Ellen Barkin. She's been around a long time, right? She's a pretty famous lady, and she had a fling with Johnny Depp back in 1998. He described it in the UK trial as a casual sexual relationship. They had been friends prior, and then, you know, things happened and transpired, and it changed for a few months. And then, you know, Ellen Barkin was called to testify for Amber Heard in this deposition. And she talked about, you know, his alcohol use and the fact that she claims that she witnessed him throw a wine bottle across the room in a hotel room when Johnny Depp was fighting with his assistants back in 1998 when they were filming Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So let's listen to what Ellen Barkin had to say.
At any point that you were either initially friends and then sexual with Mr. Depp, did you become aware that he drank to excess?
I was always aware.
Okay, and can you explain how you were aware of that?
He was drunk all the time, a lot of the time.
And that would apply both to when you were initially friends and then later when it became sexual?
Yeah.
And what was he drunk? What was your understanding? What had he drunk to become drunk?
He was a red wine drinker.
Okay, so the red wine is important. Remember, the hallway on May 21st, 2016 had the red wine spilled there with the broken glass, and Amber Heard says Johnny Depp did that. Johnny Depp says, I didn't do it. And Adam Waldman said that Amber Heard did the red wine, you know, threw the red wine around and broke some glass in the hallway. So, Wendy Patrick, just really briefly, your thoughts on Ellen Barkin's testimony.
What a blast from the past. First of all, I remember Ellen Barkin in movies growing up. And, you know, the question really would be, how credible is she and what does she lend to the allegations in the case? You know, there's no indication that Johnny Depp is disputing the fact that he drank a lot and he had a problem with alcohol. The throwing of the wine bottle or throwing of anything is an anger issue. And to that extent, it corroborates some of Amber Heard's testimony, not the part that he was drunk most of the time. I think Johnny Depp would admit that part.
Okay, so let's get to your questions. Catherine Lizardo, this one is from Twitter, and it was actually sent to me from Stardust on Twitter. Well, Jennifer Howell's testimony, we heard about Jennifer Howell the other day during Whitney Enriquez's testimony, remember? We talked about this, where Jennifer Howell is a friend of Whitney Enriquez, and she filed documents with the court basically disputing everything Whitney Enriquez testified to. So Stardust asks, will Jennifer Howell's testimony be considered hearsay because it is about what Whitney told her, or is it allowed because it impeaches Whitney's testimony? What will be allowed and not allowed? Thank you. And we're pretty darn sure she's going to be called on rebuttal.
Yes, she will be called on rebuttal. You can guarantee that, because when I heard Whitney's cross-examination, it was so short. It perked me up because I knew short and sweet means there's something deadlier that's coming their way. That's why she wasn't cross-examined that much. And now that we know that it's because of Howell, even though Howell made that declaration, the declaration is hearsay, but when she goes to the stand and testifies, that won't be hearsay anymore, because she will be a rebuttal witness to impeach what Amber Heard and her sister Whitney testified on the stand. That's why Howell's testimony will be huge.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big deal. And Jennifer Howell wrote in that declaration that she thought Whitney told her, she says, that she thought Amber Heard was going to kill Johnny Depp. And that Whitney said that Amber was very violent with her and that their father was violent with her. So I think it's going to be very interesting. All right, Wendy, this question is for you. Stephanie Jukes from Facebook says, with the Justice for Johnny hashtag, will the jury get a sense of the public opinion and take that into account when deciding the outcome, knowing now that the public is behind him and he does have a lot of support?
What a great question. This is a question that we worry about as trial lawyers every single day, because they're not allowed to take anything into consideration except what comes out in testimony at the trial. But do they follow that admonition? That's the question. And that's even why sometimes you see jurors being sequestered on the big trials, because they try to shield them from being unduly and improperly influenced by public opinion. So, Jennifer, I hope they do not, because the judge is going to tell them they cannot. But your question is, will they? And I suppose that's the type of question, that's the million-dollar question in any trial. I hope they do not. I hope they judge this case by virtue of the evidence introduced in that courtroom and nothing else.
All right. And that's how it's supposed to be done. But we heard testimony about the Justice for Johnny Depp hashtags. I mean, we heard the social media testimony yesterday. This question, Catherine, is from Danielle Torelli on Facebook. Danielle asks, why is it that when Elaine Bredehoff asks her questions, they constantly are objected to? Is it a strategy on her part to get those questions in, or a lack of experience on her part?
Well, it's constantly objected to by Johnny Depp's team as part of a strategy. That's one, so that the flow of the testimony of the witness gets interrupted, and also so that Ellen Bredehoff's flow of questioning gets objected as well. So that's one of the primary reasons why the objections are raised. Also, the second is the objections are valid because they are sustained by the judge. And that's why the objection has to be stated by Johnny Depp's lawyer to put them on the record, and also for the judge to rule on them and say whether the questions are appropriate or inappropriate.
All right. Wendy, let's get to another question. This one I'm going to throw to you. It is from, oh, I'm loving this because it's from overseas, and I love that we have an international audience. This is from So Confused from YouTube. Greetings from Sweden. Greetings, So Confused. How is it that Amber's testimony in England is so different from the one we hear now? Is that not perjury? They said, is not it perjury, but I just kind of, you know, translated there.
Remember, the issues were different in the trial in the UK. That was a trial against the Sun, and it was a very different set of facts and a very different standard of proof and different charges, really. Charges meaning civil, not criminal. Here, it's a defamation case. They're cross-defamation cases. The issues are different. But I think the question still has merit to the extent that the same incidents are being discussed. Now, remember, the jury gets instructions that not necessarily they have to agree that differences of opinion, differences in testimony, inconsistent statements, which is what you're asking about, are necessarily mean that somebody is lying. I mean, we all remember things differently. There are different ways of asking questions. And to that extent, perjury is a very high bar and very difficult to prove. Simply the fact that somebody has testified differently is something we use to impeach, not necessarily as the basis for a separate standalone charge, although it's not out of the question in certain other kinds of cases politically, as we know, but probably not in this one.
Catherine, next question comes from SB on YouTube, and it's there's lots of caps and lots of exclamation points, so I want to preface it with that question, N, exclamation point, da, 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 da. Do you find out Friday the 27th who wins? I know closing arguments happen that day, but do they also reach a verdict too? Please, E, in all caps, answer. So there you go. What do you say, yes. Catherine?
Well, closing will be on Friday, but we won't know what the verdict will be on Friday unless the jury reaches their verdict so fast. What happens procedurally is Johnny Depp's team will provide their closing, Amber Heard's team will provide their closing, and then the judge will send them off for jury deliberation. That is, after the jury instructions have been given to them, and then the jury will then deliberate, and they can take as much time as they want to deliberate. I do not think that they will come with a verdict on Friday. So we will be back the following week to have what we call a verdict watch, where we're all just waiting when the jury will come back with their verdict.
Can I just add to that just briefly? It's the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. I'm thinking jury instructions, closings, break, lunch, break, closings, jury instructions. All right. Let's go home and come back on Tuesday. That's my thought, but we'll see, right? Okay, so let's now look at more of Ellen Barkin's testimony. And Ellen Barkin, as we heard, as we've been discussing, was an old fling of Johnny Depp's. They had this relationship, you know, back in 1998. She talks about him throwing this wine bottle in the hotel room in Las Vegas. So let's listen to what Ellen Barkin had to say.
Did you ever observe, Ms. Barkin, Mr. Depp's behavior change when he drank more or used more drugs?
I did not.
So he was kind of the same all the time, fair to say?
It was not the same. He was high.
Did there come a time, Ms. Barkin, when Mr. Depp acted in a way that was out of control with you?
Yes. Mr. Depp threw a wine bottle across the room, the hotel room, on one instance in Las Vegas while we were shooting Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Was something about to happen?
A fight was going on.
Between you and Mr. Depp?
No.
Who was the fight between?
Between Johnny Depp and his friends in the room, the assistant. Honestly, I don't remember.
And the bottle that, do you remember sitting here today, Ms. Barkin, whether the bottle was full of wine or empty?
I don't.
Sitting here today, Ms. Barkin, do you remember whether the bottle hit you?
No, it did not.
Did the bottle hit anyone else?
No, it did not.
Okay, Ellen Barkin, the bottle did not hit her. The bottle didn't hit anybody else, but she says Johnny Depp threw it. Okay, so let's ask more of your questions, okay? This one is from Jay Kaplan on Twitter. Do you know who Amber Heard's team is going to call in the next few hours that they have? Catherine, we know that they've indicated they plan to call Johnny Depp as an adverse witness. This is our topic, girl. What do you think is going to happen?
Yes, well, they have 8 hours and 41 minutes left, Amber Heard's side. So they need to figure out when they want to bring Johnny Depp in for their counterclaim. Because remember, Amber Heard has a counterclaim for defamation against Johnny Depp. And that counterclaim is based on Adam Waltzman's statement that they're claiming Johnny Depp told him to do and say as his agent. So they couldn't get it from Adam Waldman, so now they have to bring in Johnny Depp to prove their counterclaim, because Johnny Depp's the only one who can waive that attorney-client privilege. So they will have 8 hours and 41 minutes to do that, but we saw Johnny Depp's testimony in direct and cross-examination. He was slow and methodical. It takes his time. So when he gets on the stand, time will be ticking for Amber Heard's side. So let's see if they'll have enough time to bring that, bring their countersuit support on the stand.
Yeah, because it'll take some time, right? It's not going to be quick, unless they have like 3 questions to ask him. But I just don't think that that's going to happen. And Catherine, you and I talked about this. They couldn't control him. Ben Rottenborn could not control him. We talked about that on the podcast on Sidebar, which we hope everybody checks out. Sidebar is climbing the charts. We are so proud of it, and we are so happy with it, and happy that you love listening to it. And we're really hoping that you check it out and let us know what you think. Jesse and I love doing it for you, along with Sam Goldberg and Michael, who edits for us. So check us out. We're going to take a quick break. We have to do this for the network. So stay with us. We're going to continue to take your questions. Submit them on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. You are watching The Lunch Show on For the Record on Law and Crime. Welcome back to For the Record here on Law and Crime. We are in our second hour of The Lunch Show, taking your questions on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Thanks, everybody on YouTube, for watching. We love having you with us, and thanks for staying with us over these network commercial breaks. We are taking your questions, so keep them coming. Walt Disney Company, a big part of this trial. You know, Johnny Depp had this long-running relationship with the Walt Disney Company with the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. The Lone Ranger was also a Disney movie, so they had this like really great relationship working together until they didn't. and they cut him out of Pirates of the Caribbean 6. Amber Heard's lawyers say that was all Johnny Depp's fault, though. Johnny Depp says, though, it was because of Amber Heard and the op-ed she wrote in the Washington Post. So yesterday we watched a video deposition from Tina Newman, and she works at Walt Disney Studios. She was asked about Johnny Depp's relationship with Disney. So let's listen to what Tina Newman had to say.
Do you recall in your preparation as the corporate designee of Disney and your review of the documents that were produced by Disney, any document that referred in any manner to the op-ed written by Ms. Heard?
I would say no.
Do you remember seeing in any of the documents you reviewed that were produced by Disney in response to the subpoena that was taken, the word op-ed in any of those documents?
I don't recall that, no.
Did you have any discussions with anyone at Disney about any future Pirates of the Caribbean role, a lesser or greater role, a different role, or a different production?
No.
Did you have any discussions with anyone at Disney about the impact of the op-ed by Ms. Heard on the relationship between Disney and Mr. Depp, including considering Mr. Depp for any work with Disney, any future Pirates of the Caribbean role, a lesser or greater role, a different role, or a different production?
No.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp is being considered for a role in Pirates 6?
No.
And when you say no, I think I have to probably ask clarification. Does that mean you don't know one way or the other, or he is not being considered?
I don't know one way or the other.
All right, Tina Newman, she doesn't know one way or the other if Johnny Depp is being considered for Pirates 6, but we heard testimony earlier in the trial that Margot Robbie, they were thinking about doing something with her, apparently, according, I think, to Jack Wiggum. I think he said that. I'm pretty sure he's the one that testified to that. All right, let's get to your questions now. Wendy, Ria Zanelli is asking, is it possible that us JD supporters are hurting his case? Wow, this is a good question. And could Amber use us against him to prove she was the one who suffered damage from the accusations?
Well, she could attempt to prove that, just as Johnny's attempting to prove the damages on his end as well. But, you know, the question of how much of the testimony actually goes to damages has to be a good one, and it's going to be enormously relevant. I mean, imagine if there's just a little bit of damage on either side. You wonder what reputational damage this will do to both of their careers moving forward. But I mean, they can attempt to use anything that they need to spin to show the kind of reputational and potential economic earning damage that we see in the future. And that's one of the reasons that whether or not Mr. Depp was considered or cut from Pirates 6 is going to be something that is so important, because that would be a significant amount of damage if, in fact, we get through the other elements as well.
He was paid a lot of money to do those movies. And another thing, Wendy and Catherine, and for the viewers watching, not only does he get like X number of dollars, and I'm not talking like $30, we're talking millions and millions of dollars, but he gets what's called, I guess, this back end stuff. So I don't know if that's like royalties or whatever, but he gets money on the back end as well. So this is what he gets paid for doing the job. And then there's this back end stuff written into the contract. We heard about some of that yesterday. Okay, let's ask another question. This one, Catherine, is from Marlene Madison on YouTube. The case in the end will depend on the judge's instructions to the jury. Do you agree? Great question, since we're kind of moving toward that point.
Yes, well, the jury instructions are actually a combination of work by Amber's legal team and Johnny Depp's legal team. So they'll present their jury instructions to the judge will look at it and agree which jury instructions to present to the jury. The jury instructions most of them are already set by law, so it's not like there's certain elements that they have to prove for defamation and for their damages. So the jury will use those instructions for their deliberation and to reach their verdict. So it's not so much as the judge giving the jury instruction, and the jury instruction is is because it came from the judge. No, it's because by law, those are the jury instructions that have been vetted and looked at for a long time by lawmakers and the lawyers who have written those jury instructions a while back, and then the judge approves them to be shown to the jury and used for their jury deliberation. So that's how jury instructions work.
All right, and that's basically the roadmap for the jury. This explains to them what they're to consider under the law. Riley, this is from Riley on YouTube. Wendy, why is Amber's counterclaim so much higher than Johnny's? I think it's a great question. Johnny Depp says, hey, you defamed me, I want $50 million at least. She countersued for $100 million. So why is she asking for $100 million when he's asking for $50? He's worth way more money, she's worth less. So why the imbalance there?
That's the question that we asked right from the beginning. Why didn't she countersue for $50 million like he did? Why did she basically countersue for twice as much money? Part of the rationale behind why different sides seek the figure that they do is not always apparent to members of the public, and it's not always something that is shared. I mean, attorney work product and the internal communications between lawyers and clients, boy, we wish we knew more about what goes into the decision as to how much money to sue for. So we don't really know, except to the extent that we're learning the amount of damages each of them are seeking to recover has to be commensurate with what they're able to prove. So as we hopefully we're going to be wrapping this up, maybe in closing argument we'll get a definitive answer to that very good question.
Yeah, $100 million it seems like a big ask to me, especially when we heard yesterday, I think for Aquaman or Aquaman 2, she was being paid $2 million plus I think that back end. So $2 million, and then, she got that money. Obviously she did the movie, and now she's asking for $100 million. That's a lot of money. Okay, let's now look at a little bit more of Tina Newman, and she is talking about in this clip about some internal Disney communications in which Johnny Depp was discussed.
On June 21st, 2018, all right, and then it has a reply from Sean Bailey, sad. Do you see that?
Yes.
What was Mr. Bailey's position with Disney on June 21st, 2018?
I believe he was the president then.
Okay.
He may have been the EVP. I don't know.
Okay. And then we have an email at the top. It's to Sean Bailey, CC Janelle Tipton. And then it has some copies to some other people. It's from Alan Horn. I believe we said he was one of the co-directors. Is that correct?
Co-chairman.
Co-chairman. Okay. And Alan Bergman.
The other co-chairman.
Okay. And do you have any recollection of ever reading the Rolling Stones article about Johnny Depp back in this time frame?
I honestly don't remember if I ever read this document. I may have.
Do you have any understanding of why this would be sent from Alan Horn to these other individuals on the top?
Again, same as before, just because of the fact that we have a relationship with Johnny. So they may have determined it was important to bring it to their attention.
Tina Newman of Disney talking about internal communications that Disney had about Johnny Depp. All right, Catherine, I'm going to send this next question to you because you and I were texting about this morning and maybe last night. It's from Chris Rice from Facebook, and I think that he may be from the UK, and you'll get a hint as to why when I read this question. Why, when Johnny Depp's lawyer was interviewed, did Amber Heard's solicitor continually ask questions that she knew would be blocked by attorney-client privilege? What was the point?
Yeah, so attorney-client privilege is very sacred for all of us lawyers. We cannot reveal secrets that our clients gave us. And I'm using secrets as a very loose term here. It just means our client communication that are based on legal services. So Adam Waldman cannot break that privilege because Johnny Depp has the power to waive that. The privilege belongs to Johnny Depp, not Adam Waldman, which is probably another reason why they're bringing in Johnny Depp for rebuttal, because they cannot get those information from Adam Waldman. Now, you might be asking, why are they still presenting his testimony, even though everything he says is, I can't respond because of attorney-client privilege? The reason for that is they have to put it on the record for appeal.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you don't ask, you don't know if you'll get an answer or not. What if he answers, you know? So, and that could maybe potentially, if he did answer a question he shouldn't, maybe open the floodgates to more. I don't know if you break the privilege. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We have to do this for the network, so YouTube viewers, stay with us. It's just going to be a few minutes, but that gives you time to think of more questions. So submit them to us on the YouTube chat, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch, and we'll answer them. You are watching For the Record, the lunch show on Law and Crime. Welcome back to the lunch show on For the Record on Law and Crime. I'm Angenette Levy, and thanks everybody on YouTube for being with us on this Friday afternoon. We made it to the weekend, but court today is dark in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. However, the attorneys were in court at 8 a.m. this morning with Judge Ascarati, and you know she runs a tight ship, so you know they probably started at 8:01. They were talking about jury instructions. However, we weren't there for it. I don't think we're allowed to be or something. So anyway, or maybe it's in chambers. I don't know. But we want to bring you up to date on the ACLU. That's the American Civil Liberties Union. And the ACLU is an organization that's been around a long time, okay? They make sure, they're supposed to be making sure my rights are protected. They're like a watchdog group, right? Well, the ACLU has been a big deal in this trial because the op-ed that Amber Heard wrote, over which Johnny Depp is suing her, was part of this whole deal with the ACLU that she had. When she divorced Johnny Depp, she said that $3.5 million of the $7 million divorce settlement would be going. She was going to fork it over to the ACLU. To date, $1.3 million has been donated. No donations have been made by Amber Heard since 2018. And in all actuality, that $1.3 million, $500,000 of it at least came from Elon Musk. That was the testimony of Terrence Doherty with the ACLU. So the ACLU has been taking a lot of heat. I'm going to tell you, people have been messaging me about the ACLU. People are upset about this. They feel like that the ACLU did something underhanded and wrong here by assisting in the writing of this, and this whole background discussion and emails about, well, if it's about Johnny Depp, it's more marketable. It won't be in Teen Vogue. We'll get it in a better publication and all this stuff. Well, the ACLU has put something out, and they're kind of pushing back a little bit. It seems like they're kind of offended, I think. You know, the ACLU has been around for more than 100 years, and they put this statement out on the website, and they said that the ACLU, some have claimed that the ACLU made Ms. Heard an ambassador for gender justice and wrote an op-ed on her behalf in exchange for her pledge to donate money to the ACLU. This is wrong. We do not write op-eds or offer ambassadorships in exchange for donations, period. Becoming an ACLU artist ambassador is entirely voluntary. It is a favor to the ACLU, not vice versa. In 2016, she pledged the $3.5 million over 10 years to the ACLU. 2 years later, they invited her to become an ambassador and to work with us on an op-ed to bring attention to the issue of sexual assault and domestic violence issues, and she agreed. So they're pushing back against this. I do think it's important to point out, though, I think it's very important that we need to point this out. They're saying she pledged it over 10 years. There was testimony from Terrence Doherty that she never signed the pledge form and said in 2019 she was having financial issues, and so therefore they work with people, their donors, on things like this. And she says she can't pay the money because Johnny Depp sued her, but they say you had all this money months before all of this. So this is a big point of contention in this case. So let's look at a little bit of the testimony regarding this whole issue of the ACLU and Ed White. Ed White was the attorney for he's not an attorney. Scratch that. Correction. He is the business manager. Oh, actually, we're tossing to Terrence. I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong spot. We are tossing to Terrence Doherty. So let's look at Terrence Doherty and some of his testimony regarding this issue.
that this is the cover letter to which the check for $100,000 was attached, which related to Johnny Depp's contribution to the ACLU in the name of Amber Heard.
Now, you've used the term binding a few times here in responding to these. What is your distinction with the words pledge and donate that relates specifically to binding?
A pledge is, if something is legally binding, it is a pledge, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody that uses the term pledge means something that's legally binding. Donate is a much, much broader term.
And donate can mean pledge?
Yeah, I think that the word donate can be used in connection with a pledge.
Do you have any understanding of what Amber Heard believed was a pledge versus a donation?
I don't know.
Did the ACLU have any reason to believe that Amber Heard would not pay the ACLU $3.5 million?
I think that everybody at the ACLU was hoping, the ACLU was hoping and expecting that the full $3.5 million would be paid to the ACLU. The fact that the pledge form wasn't signed was, cast some potential doubt on that. And then once Ms. Heard began having financial difficulties, we obviously recognized that might impact whether the full $3.5 million is paid or impact whether it's paid over a much longer period of time in some intermittent way.
Catherine Lizardo, what do you make of the ACLU putting this out? We have 30 seconds. Obviously, the ACLU is feeling the heat.
Yes, they are. And it's a good thing that they put this article out because it's very important for them to establish that ambassadors are voluntary. I'm sure the other ambassadors are probably feeling the heat too and are getting lumped up in this idea that ambassadors have to pay to be ambassadors by saying that that's wrong. ACLU and the ambassadors do great work for a lot of just cause. So let's hope this statement helps separate those ambassadors who really do a great job from whatever any bad press they might get from this trial. So I'm glad that they clarified that for the other ambassadors' sake and also for ACLU's reputation.
Okay, sorry to cut you off. We've loved taking your questions. The lunch show is over, but we'll see you back on the network after this break.